Frank Martin, Tank Davis. So what's going down, guys? We're about 48 hours away from Judgment Day. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna get a lot of questions answered. As the fight's getting closer, there is a little bit of excitement and a little bit of anxiety, even for myself, to see the fight. Be careful what you ask for, right? We've been looking for Tank Davis to fight somebody, slick, somebody who was comparable in one way or another to the skill set he brought to the ring. And I mean, although Frank Martin wasn't the actual fight that anybody was asking for, I know I wasn't asking for it, but it's still a step in the right direction. I've said that already. Right? We got to give Tank his credit for moving in this direction. Now that he has his career in his hand and he's able to move the needle in the direction he wants to go, and it looks like he's standing by his word. He said that he has these people on a bucket list, on a list of people that he wanted to fight, and he's going to fight them. And it has nothing to do with money. It's not the biggest fights in the world that he's trying to put together. He's actually focused on fighting the best right now that's out there. He's said that he wants to prove to the world that he's the best 135-pounder in the world, and he understands that this is the way to do that. That fighting the fighters he did was good for whatever reasons he fought them. It was legitimate. We're not knocking those fighters, opponents, great opponents for him at that time in that chapter of his career. But he's now going to a chapter of his career where he understands that fighting the best opponents in the division, collecting belts, dare I say, becoming an undisputed champion is not far-fetched. This is something that I believe every fighter at some point wants to do, right? So Tank is on his journey right now, and he's moving the needle. So we got Frank Martin getting ready to stand in front of Tank on Saturday. And Frank brings some athleticism, right? He's a little bit bigger than Tank, but not that much bigger than Tank. Arm reach, not that. I mean, it's pretty much they're damn near even. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say he's a little bigger than Tank. But Tank is used to coming into the ring being a smaller guy. He understands how to play that game. And usually what he does is, right, he baits his opponents in, right? Traps them, puts them in situations to where they gives them a false sense of confidence to where they overcommit a little bit, and he's able to capitalize on that. Frank Martin and his team have acknowledged that they know he does that, right? Frank Martin's acknowledged that he understands that's exactly what Tank brings to the table. That's what he's looking to do. He's looking to get him to overcommit, and Frank Martin is not looking to play that game. He plans on boxing. Plans on punching. He said it at the press conference that if Tank were to become overzealous, and if Tank comes in taking all those risks that we've seen him take in the past with other fighters, that Tank has a very high probable chance of walking into something with some Final Destination intentions on it, right, to put Tank down on his behind and maybe even knock him out, according to Frank Martin. So Frank Martin and Derek James have made it clear that intelligence, discipline, and focus is going to be what gets him through this fight. Errol Spence is also commented saying that Tank Davis hasn't seen a fighter like Frank before, that, basically alluding to the fact that the fighters that Tank Davis has fought up to this point have been tailor-made for him, tailor-made to be taken advantage of, to be knocked out because of the way they walk forward. Now, Errol Spence isn't the first person who said this before. A lot of boxing media analysts and enthusiasts and pundits alike have all commented towards wanting to see Tank Davis jump in the ring and up the level of competition so some questions could be answered, some boxes could be checked. Well, this fight is a step in that direction. Tank's also made it clear that after this, he has plans for everybody, the Shakurs, the Lomachenkos. It looks like he's aiming at unifying that division, which I'm excited to see him do. What's Frank Martin's chance of winning this fight? I mean, let's be honest, guys. Is Frank Martin, I'm saying Tank, is Frank Martin ready for this opportunity? Sometimes the opportunity knocks at your door and you just got to take it, right? You're put in that position to where you just got to do what you got to do. But, Tank has made comments towards the direction of Frank may be here a little too soon, speaking to Frank, saying this is a little too soon for you. You're a great fighter. You have a great future, but you might have bit off a little bit more than you can chew. That experience is going to play a part in the results of this fight. And questions have to come out. People are going to come out, and they've already started to say, listen, as far as just being fair about it to Tank Davis and his team, Leonard Ellerby, who's also commented towards the levels of this game, and that, you can't just skip steps, right? So if Frank Martin has skipped steps and he's not ready, let's keep in mind that, you know, Tank Davis and his team are the ones who have purposely selected to fight Frank Martin. So some people might want to categorize that as a cherry pick, right? Let's be honest. At the end of the day, you know, you pick the fighter. If you pick the fighter that you seem to be confident that he's not ready for you, that he just doesn't have the experience, and you know, in some ways shouldn't even be in the ring with you. What does that say? You know, I think it's all fair. I think 14 months out of the ring can bring some ring rust, can bring a little bit of ring rust. We got to get our confidence built back up. I wouldn't expect Tank to come out from 14 months and just jump into the ring with the best 135 pounder in the world. Some people would say this is a cherry pick. Others would say he's a tune up. Others would say that Tank is stepping up to the best challenge he can find. I'm probably closer to the middle of it, where I feel like a tune-up is probably more what this might be for Tank. When Tank put this together, it was probably in the mind state of getting a tune-up. For Frank Martin, this is for all the marbles. This is everything he worked towards. This guy is a conditioned winner. He's won at everything he's done. He's played football. He seemed to be a star football player in high school. He wrestled, was a state champion wrestler, from what I understand, or competed on a state champion level. Always competed at the highest level, and now he's in boxing, doing the same thing, coming in with an undefeated record, and just being a winner. So he doesn't know how to lose, you know. So we have no reason to believe that he's coming in there to do anything else but win. Frank's road to victory for me is going to be staying smart, fighting his fight, fighting Tank when he wants to fight Tank, boxing Tank when he wants to box Tank. I think one of the big things that we're going to have to see in this match is Frank's ability to adjust. I'm very confident that Gervonta will put Frank in positions of having to adjust in this fight. And Derrick James is also going to be put to the test because he's earned a reputation of his fighters fighting a certain way, walking forward, you know what I mean, overpowering, going for the knockout. But, you know, with that fight between Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford, we didn't see Errol Spence making adjustments in that fight. So that's going to be highlighted in this match. When you're fighting somebody like Gervonta Tank Davis, who brings the pedigree he brings into the ring, we have to assume there's going to be moments in time in this match where Frank Martin's going to have to adjust. And if he's not able to adjust, if his ability to adjust is tested and he's not able to show improve, then it could be a short night for Tank, because Frank will get the job done. One thing he knows how to do is smell blood in the water. When there's blood in the water, the shark's going to eat. He will finish his food and leave nothing on the table, right? Nothing in the plate. So Frank Martin's adjustment, I think adjustment's going to be the big deal, and also the latter half of the match. If this match goes past 6 rounds, what is Frank Martin going to do if he's behind on the cards? If he's ahead of the cards, is he going to protect his lead? Does he know how to do it? Is that discipline going to be there? I think Frank Martin definitely has that kind of respect for Gervonta Tank Davis, to where I don't see him taking unnecessary risk. I think he understands the consequences of taking unnecessary risk against a Gervonta Tank Davis. So I'll be eager to see how his conditioning works out. Now, what about Tank Davis, though? How does he come out in this fight? You know, when Terrence Crawford fought against Errol Spence, one of the things that was very interesting and prolific about that fight was the way Terrence Crawford started the fight very early. You know, very similar to Gervonta Tank Davis, Terrence Crawford has a history of taking off those first maybe 2 or 3 rounds to process data, right? To understand who he's in the ring with, and to actually come up with a proper strategy in the ring to do what? Adjust to the data that he has and have the perfect game plan implemented in to get his win. Gervonta Tank Davis has also been known to do that, right? Take off, some might say, some early rounds to process data and to go ahead and adjust, right, to what's going on in the ring, to implement the right strategy for that fighter to win that match. So one of the things that make him such a great fighter is the fact that he can do that. We've seen Gervonta Tank Davis adjust. You look at the Isaac Cruz fight where he broke his hand, he was able to adjust and box off his back foot and work with, literally won that fight with one arm. So we know he knows how to do that. But in this fight in particular, knowing that Frank Martin can win rounds, take rounds, and that, you know, Gervonta is very focused on stopping his opponents. He's highlighted that he understands that his fan base and the boxing space love him because of his ability to stop guys. So he'll be looking to do that possibly, but is he ready to win this fight with a 12-round decision if it comes down to that, right? So does Tank Davis start this fight early like Terrence did against Errol? Does he immediately maybe give it a half a round or a round, and by the second round start applying pressure to Frank Martin? Because if the question is, can he adjust? Well, let's put him in that position early maybe. Let's go ahead and take the fight to Frank Martin, force him to fight off his back foot, force him to adjust to something he didn't expect Tank Davis to do, and see how well he can deal with that. See how well Derek James deals with that, right? So it's going to be interesting to see how Tank Davis, coming off a 14-month layoff, approaches this fight. Is there a new mentality to boxing? Is there a new understanding? Does he have a different game plan when he's fighting against the quote-unquote slick athletic boxer like a Frank Martin, and moving forward with your Shakur Stevens and your Lomachenkos, and potentially your 140-pound matches between Teofimo, Devin Haney, and all these other fighters, Cyril Matias? Well, he's really kind of like that flat-footed forward coming fighter. But you guys get the point. Gervonta Tank Davis supposedly is fighting in front of a fighter that we have never seen him fight in front of before. Now, I'm not saying he's never fought against somebody slick and athletic, but I think it'd be fair to say that we haven't seen him fight in front of somebody like that. Probably the closest to somebody like that would have been a Pedraza, right? And even him, he had his moments, but at the same time, I don't think he's presenting the same issues as a Frank Martin. So let's see how Tank adjusts. Let's see what game plan and strategy Frank Martin comes in the ring with. I'm looking to see if Frank Martin can adjust to whatever's going on in the ring. I just believe that there's going to be an opportunity. There's going to be a space where that's happening, where Frank Martin's game plan is maybe the first 2 or 3 rounds, his game plan is winning. Then Gervonta processes that, figures it out, is able to neutralize that game plan. Frank Martin will lose the next round. Will he come back that following round with an adjustment now to this new look that Gervonta Tank Davis has given him? You guys let me know. I'll tell you right now my prediction. I'm not going to lie. I have to lean towards Gervonta Tank Davis. I think he brings experience to the ring. I think he's proven, tried, true inside that ring. I think Frank Martin is a great boxer. I question and have concerns as to whether or not it's too early for him to be in his position. There were other fights that could be made that could have got him more prepped to be inside of a space like this. But look, when your time comes, when your opportunity comes, when it comes knocking, you better answer the door. It's not promised to be there tomorrow. So shout out to Frank Martin for taking his opportunity. I do question if his experience is going to get him through this. I think he's fighting against one of the most strategic, high pedigree, high IQ, ring intelligent fighters that he could fight against. Hard puncher as well in Gervonta Tank Davis. But to see Frank Martin, let's see if he can make adjustments, or maybe Tank might make a mistake early and get caught like he did in that sparring session that they're talking about, and walk into a left hand. And maybe this left hand with the 8-ounce gloves might be the combination of things that need to come together to see Frank Martin make history and make his name in the 135-pound division. But you guys let me know what you think. Leave it in the comments. Who do you guys leaning to win this fight? How do you guys see whoever you see winning this fight? Is Frank Martin in over his head? Did he come into this fight too soon? Would he have been better off fighting Tank Davis maybe 2-3 fights down the road, prepping himself with some better fights? Or is there no time like the present? How many of you guys think Frank Martin can walk away with the win, or should walk away with the win? Do you see that happening? Has the stars aligned for Frank Martin? And with the situation Gervonta's been in, dealing with the law, with his 14-month layoff, with the drama that he's kind of had to go through and adjust, and him becoming now a leader of his own brand, owner of his own brand, his own machine in GTD Promotions. Is this too much for Tank? Has Tank put too much on his shoulders, right? You guys let me know what you think, but I think I'm going to have to lean towards Tank Davis to win this fight. Probably, I think he can end as early as inside of 3 to 6 rounds, somewhere in that range, 4 to 6 rounds, somewhere in that range. But at the same time, if Frank comes with that great strategy, we can see this go to a decision. At which point, depending on how Frank Martin has performed and how many between the rounds that Gervonta Tank Davis was given up for process that data, and the actual rounds that Frank Martin's won just off of outpointing him, he could walk away with a split decision in this fight. You know, let's see what it looks like. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, guys. Shout out to my subscribers helping this channel grow. We're almost there. We're looking to get to that 1,000 subscriber mile marker. When we get there, we will be doing a cash giveaway courtesy of Charles Edward Cheese. And shout out to Charles Edward Cheese for sponsoring the channel and contributing to this channel growing. If this is your first time tapping into content, I invite you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon to make sure you're getting all these alerts when that content is dropping. And at this point, and on that note, we out.